should we think about money? Money should be fungible, right? So if I take a dollar bill out of my wallet and I give it to you and you put it in your pocket and you take out your wallet and you give me a different dollar bill back, this dollar bill to me should seem exactly the same as the original dollar bill, right? I have the same purchasing power with it. And yet, I think about this dollar bill differently, and we'll go through some examples of that. Let's say there's a couple. They go to the Pacific Northwest on a lovely trip. They catch a bunch of salmon. They're so excited. They end up sending this salmon home so they can share it with their friends and family. They're thrilled about this. But unfortunately, the airline loses the fish. So what happens then? They're very apologetic. So sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We lost your salmon. To make up for it, here, we're going to give you $300. What does this couple do next? Oh, great, $300. Let's go out to eat. They go out for a very fancy meal. They spend $225, which they've never spent that much in their life on a meal. In their life. And what just happened? Why is this $300 different than all the other money that they've ever had? Why do we think of it differently?
Free money.
Free money, exactly. Does that actually make sense? No. It's all the other money that they had the same purchasing power with it. They had the same ability to spend that on whatever they wanted, and yet this pool of money all of a sudden is different. We think of it differently. Let's think of pay. If you had two choices to either every month for the next year, right? This is only in effect for the year, but every month for the next year, I'll give you a $1,000 increase, a $1,000 raise, right? You increase your pay by $1,000. Or the second option is to get a $12,000 bonus, which is the rational choice. Well, first of all, how would you spend the money differently if we think of it as a $12,000 bonus or a $1,000 increase, which is the rational choice, and which one would you pick? Can you see how people would think of these differently, right, depending on how you're framing it as a bonus or part of your normal pay? Let me tell you another story about John. John has been eyeing this sweater. It's the beautiful cashmere sweater. It's blue. He thinks it's going to go great with his eyes. He's so excited about it and keeps eyeing this cashmere sweater. It's $125, though. And he says to himself, you know what? That's a bit much. I'm going to forego that. That's okay. I'm not going to get the sweater. So he moves on. A week later, what happens? It's his birthday. His wife gives him the cashmere sweater. And he's thrilled. He's so happy to have gotten this cashmere sweater that he had decided was too expensive. Now, he and his wife, the only banking that they have is a joint account. At the same time, so even if physically, right, the account is the same, mentally he's thinking about it as coming from a different bucket, a different category, right? This is the reason, this concept of mental accounting, by the way, is the reason that so many people have a lot of debt, let's say credit card debt, and at the same time, very low interest saving accounts. That is irrational behavior. You should not do that. But yet, there's something about, oftentimes these savings accounts have some kind of special value to them, right? I really want this. I can't put that money over there. It's in this bucket, at least in my head, right? This is mental accounting. Let me give you one more example of this. The city of Boston gave its tax rebates in two different ways. One was called withheld income, and one was called bonus income. And how do we think people behaved when they were framed in these two different ways? Bonus income, they spent 87% of it. Withheld income, they spent 25% of it. This is the exact same thing. They're just called different, right? So this concept of mental accounting is that people measure and account for the same thing. They'll account for it differently depending on how they categorize it. So what I want you to do is think about what categories are you currently falling under, right? And how can you help people think about, is this a daily expense? Is this something in the category of when people have this low low interest savings account versus debt, there's something about that special money jar. There's something about that that makes it precious, that makes you not want to touch it. So come, whatever, that money is sort of already allocated to something. How are people thinking about the money that they're giving to you, and buckets that they're putting into it? What category are they putting it into, and how can you make that more salient, make that more powerful?